everyone, and welcome to our webinar. I hope you can see and hear us well. My name is Magda Sochacka, and at PCG Academia, I'm responsible for international business development. We'll be talking today about digitization of processes at universities using WEBCON BPS platform. Let me first introduce my colleagues. I have today with me Ewa Makowska-Tłomak. Ewa is at PCG Academia spearheading the implementations of WEBCON business of WEBCON platform at universities. We'll be later joined by Ania Wardaricen, and Ania will demonstrate the possibilities of WEBCON platform. She'll show a couple of workflows that we've built using the platform, including the workflow for Erasmus documentation, workflow for incoming and ongoing mail, as well as workflow for financial request for financial assistance. But the main speaker today will be Ewa, and I do have many questions for her, not only about the platform itself, but also about the experiences of clients where we have already deployed the platform. The whole webinar will be recorded and will be later posted on our website as well as on YouTube. I strongly encourage you to share the recording with your colleagues, and I also strongly encourage you to be active participants in our webinar by asking questions. At the end of the webinar, we'll answer some of all of them, time permitting. Before we delve into the conversation with Ewa, I would like to say a few words about us as a company, since with many of you we're meeting for the first time, and also introduce WEBCON. So we are PCG Academia, and we deliver IT services to universities in Poland and internationally. We are part of bigger entity, Public Consulting Group, an American company with over 35 years of history. Here in Poland, we serve over 65 universities, including the top 3 public and top 3 private. So we might say that we work with the best. We strive for not only being an IT provider to universities, but also to be a change agent that helps universities become more efficient, more sustainable, and more innovative. And to that goal, we also partner with global leaders in higher education, including Times Higher Education, so the publisher of the most influential university ranking in the world, but as well with companies like Blackboard, Ontology, and Inspera. Since 2021, January 2021, we are partner of WEBCON, and it is when our story with really optimizing the processes at universities began. So this is us, and now about WEBCON, I must admit that I shamelessly stole the slide from WEBCON Vice President. We just recently co-organized a conference here in Poland, so this is a quick introduction to WEBCON. WEBCON is #1 in Poland in terms of delivering BPS platform, but is growing to be a leader also on the international scene. WEBCON now operates in over 40 countries. You can see them on the map, and it is quite impressive that WEBCON actually notes 70% growth year on year, and already serves more than 800 clients. Many of those clients actually come from abroad, and they are both companies and organizations, public sector organizations and universities. So this is WEBCON as a company. And what WEBCON delivers is a platform for digitizing business processes and electronic document workflows. We'll, of course, talk with Ewa today what that actually means. But I think, like, as an introductory couple of words, you might say that it basically WEBCON enables university to digitize virtually any process at any department, being it, for example, Erasmus documentation workflow, HR processes, staff evaluation. This is one of the hot use cases right now in Poland. It can be also about invoices and many other. So that's what we'll cover in our conversation with Eva. And workflows, what's important is that workflows can be created by staff with no or very little programming skills. And the changes to the workflows, and well, change is the only constant in today's world, can be instantly deployed and without extra cost. According to surveys, WEBCON makes it possible to speed up administration processes by 87%. So that's basically why is it worth to think about WEBCON at your university. And WEBCON, as I mentioned, is already used in corporate and is both used at corporate and education sector, including by such big brands as PwC, Daimler, or Raben. But it is also used by more than 30 at this point universities worldwide. I think it's also in the introduction worth noting that Gartner, so a leading technological research and consulting company, estimated that in 2023, 70% of IT systems created will use low-code technology. And WEBCON is a low-code platform. What does it mean, low-code technology? It means that it allows organizations to basically build custom applications without coding using just the graphical user interface. So essentially, it's about building systems out of already made blocks and just configuring those blocks together according to specific needs. And what we gain is that systems built in this way are way more flexible and easier to adjust when there are changes, and they always happen. And they give much more of the process to the actual process owners that can play with it and can rebuild it according to the needs, and that happens without incurring any extra outside costs. So I think this trend is one of the reasons why WEBCON is actually growing so fast in general in the world, and why also universities should take interest in WEBCON right now. So it's important also to note that WEBCON is not only about digitizing documents, so moving from your desks with stacked documents to your virtual desk, essentially, which WEBCON can be called, but it's also about the process of moving a document from person to person, giving extra information, giving approvals. Right now, it often happens, for example, via email, and it's not the most efficient way to do that. And WEBCON allows for doing all of that digitally. So that's, I think that's about the introduction. And right now, I'll be very happy to move to my discussion with Eva. I have a lot of questions for her. And so let me start with the first one. I think it's boldly phrased, but it's not exaggerated. I just been to this conference that we organized with WEBCON, and I heard clients talking about the system. So I don't think using love is not an exaggeration. So Eva, what makes universities actually fall in love with WEBCON?
Yeah, I think it's hello everybody, and it's true. We can say that our customer, also me, we are still in love with WEBCON, because WEBCON turns our workflows into business solution with the same level of quality of functionality as hard-coded dedicated applications. And what more? Improve communications between the department, between people, between university and student. WEBCON is very flexible, so we can still change and improve our processes. And also, we observe that WEBCON rise the creativity of the staff of university also, because we can still optimize the processing at the university, for example. Also, we feel our self-efficacy because we can also self-develop our processes, our workflow. So some people dedicated to develop the platform discover that they can do by themselves, even they are not programmists or something like this. And also cost reduction and time reductions, because webcom processing really accelerate any request and process. So, and improve productivity of course. So that's why a lot of people are still in love with webcom.
Thank you, Eva, for that answer. And Eva is often using the form "we" because she has been working on WebCon for many years, and I know she still is in love with the system. And we do use the system as well in our own company. So if I have time, I'll maybe also share my experience as the user. But moving on about what WebCon actually is. So is it only about making documents electronic, or there is more to WebCon?
Definitely is something more. It's not only document management system, but also it's the platform which automatize the processes and simplify processes. For example, we can prepare onboarding and offboarding our users, our employees through this platform, and it could be done automatically. Also, full notification systems and communications between people. So we can say the sky is limit. So if you develop some processes which you would like to improve your procedures or working at your place, you can use the webcom as well without any document. So.
Okay, we'll be talking more about that and specific use cases in universities. But before we go into that topic, I think it's important to kind of understand if WebCon allows mostly for digitizing processes that were done before on paper or maybe Excel files, or maybe WebCon is introduced instead of or in place of other systems that already exist at universities. How does it work?
It's really hard to say. So I say, as a psychologist, it depends. But WebCon is not system or platform which replace our ERP system or other systems. It's mostly for joining system. It's as a bridge which join different system and improve the productivity. Working with these systems, external systems. And when we are thinking about the digitalization of a process, we can start also with piece of a paper. Sometimes with the university cases, we start with a Word document, for example, with the fields and the request of students. And we analyzing step by step, because the most important for us it's understand the process and get to know the business needs of users needs, and we can analyze this process step by step from the current stage to the perfect, we can say, process which we imagine in our organization. And then we can recommend some solutions. So first, we also can draw the diagram, recognize the system we should join with, or optimize the work with the systems. Yeah, but the starting point is really understand the needs of our client. It could be Excel files, could be a piece of paper, even white piece of paper, Word documents, everything you have, and then we analyzing with member of processes. We identify the actors of these processes, and we going step by step to prepare the processes in WEBCON.
Thank you. So it sounds like basically we have to start with understanding the process at the clients, and they have many different forms when we start cooperating with universities, and then sky is the limit essentially in terms of what we can do. It's just about understanding the current state, and then imagining the future state, and then drawing a line between the current and the future, and that line is then WEBCON. What kind of applications WEBCON actually has at universities? What kind of use cases? Could you give examples from the real life? So the clients where we've already deployed or are in the process of deploying WEBCON.
Yes, of course. We have 6 clients at this moment, and it's really different. It's different processes. So, for example, at the Medical University of Gdańsk, we implement the system with administration processes like creating purchase request workflow and contract. And it's very interesting. This university started with a freemium license of WEBCON, and the university learn this platform and discover the possibilities of this platform. Then they bought the license, full license of the platform, and asked us for the audit the processes they developed already in the systems. And we also develop this purchasing request workflow, and we join with the ERP systems. And now we are working on HR request, like for special aloneness, and request for the project member employees, for the, how we can do the full process of recruitment. And also very interesting workflows is the process of managing access to the clinical data. It was very interesting. So it's about the medical university. Another one is the economics university in Krakow, where we implementing 2 really complex area of workflows. We can say it's about 30 or even 50 individual workflows we implemented there, and 2 area is related to habilitations and PhD granting procedures, which are really complicated because we should develop full recruitment, candidate recruitment workflow, and also reviewing workflow, and voting workflow. So it's really challenging, but we manage with it. And even users of this workflow said that we better understand the process than themselves. Yeah. Another university, so we have 3 universities which decided at the first time, as we can say, first step, implement some students' requests and applications on WebCon. So we prepared about 50 different workflows related with communication of between students and university. Yeah. I can also point at this university if you want. So it's Collegium Civitas, University of Ian Kochanowski in Kielce, and also one of the military school in Poland. So it's Warsaw Military School. Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you, Eva, for that. And I think it's important to note that we cooperate with different types of universities. It's universities, but also military schools, private, public. So WebCon can be applied really to any type, and because it's about the processes that we optimize, and those processes are everywhere. Sometimes they are different and they need to be customized, but of course, WebCon allows for that. So some of the projects, Eva, that you've talked about, they are still underway. We are still deploying WebCon there, but are the clients seeing benefits already? And if so, then what kind of benefits are already visible?
So perhaps I start with this university school, which chose the students' workflows, and in this case, they focus on supporting students with digital document workflow, and the students notice that it's significantly helped the university to perceived, and they perceived the university as modern and very student helpful and friendly. So also during the pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, WebCon workflows helps very much, not only for of students, but also for the university, how they can proceed any request and request for the certification and so on. So really, we observe that communication between university and students has been improved, and also time of reactions of university department, which are responsible for the communication with students, also was improved. And the result, the university which choose WebCon observe increased number of students right now. So it's really, really interesting observation.
Thank you, Eva. So, according to a survey done by Forrester, a consulting company, a business client or business clients of WebCon can achieve even 113% return on investment within 3 years, and 87% enhancement on their processes. So, do you think that universities can observe similar types of benefits?
In my opinion, it's possible. We have no statistics right now, but it's possible because of paperless, remote work and ordering procedures, automatizing process. So, in my opinion, it's possible, but we should waiting for the statistic and to compare the process before and after webcon implementation.
I think it will be very interesting to see, but we believe that, yeah, from what you say, Eva, that's definitely possible. So that's great to hear. One of the processes that universities want to digitize is Erasmus documentation workflows. There is kind of an initiative on the European level called Erasmus Without Paper. So is that something that we can help with WebCon? Can we actually help universities digitize Erasmus documentation workflows?
Yeah, WebCon is can be easily integrated with other external systems and platform, thanks to built-in built-in REST API functionality or using SQL. And for example, with Erasmus without paper, we know that Erasmus without paper gives the API for integration, and all our workflows could be easily integrated with Erasmus without paper. And workloads related regarding to the internal procedures at the university, it's quite similar between different university, but we have a prototype of the product, and we could only customize this process on the WEBCON. That it's quite easy because it's quite similar between different universities, because we compare the procedures in some Polish university, and we hope that the students' request to join the Erasmus program is really similar for most of the universities. So yes, we can join with it because first of all, REST API, it's API functionality, and then very easily customizing workflow in universities.
Sounds great, actually, because I know that many universities, although the deadline, we are past deadline, have not done it yet. So I think it's great to hear that we can actually help, and the universities that would start cooperating with us don't have to start from zero, because we already have the so-called, you could say, I don't know, a template or template workflow that we can deploy, and it can be easily adjusted to the specific needs of a given university if at that university the process differs from the standard that we have. So, well, you don't have to start from zero. Eva, you mentioned integrations and vast integration possibilities of WEBCON. So could you explain in more detail what kind of systems WEBCON can integrate with, and what are the benefits of those integrations?
As I said before, sky is the limit, and something which we should to have, or we should have the REST API or SOAP API, or we should have somebody who very well knows the structures of systems we should join it if the REST API is not possible. So in the ERP WEBCON scenario, ERP is usually used as an engine and database, and we should identify the process when and where data should be entered to the ERP system, who is responsible for enter the data, and we identified the technical documentation. It means REST API. We should identify how the system could join WEBCON, or WEBCON can join the system, and then we can really very easily integrate. So what I can say, we can also use the ERP system as a dictionary, database for register, like contractor register, agreement register, employee register. And WEBCON support accounting process like invoicing acceptance, project budget, and other acceptance procedures, which in the ERP system we only enter the data by responsible people, and in WEBCON is a flow of approvement of enter the data, so everybody knows at which stage, when, how, and which fields are obligatory to fulfill. So really, WEBCON support processing with ERP systems. So integration is really something easy if we have API and we can use the algorithm or SQLs. Yeah.
And any other integrations that you think it's worth mentioning, like with Teams, Outlook, or Student Information System?
Yeah, of course. As I said, any system we can integrate, and also for the university point of view, it's very important is the university systems for managing the students, and we also are integrated with different university students university systems, so we can get the data about the student. So student is identified by the Active Directory and this student systems. So everybody, of course, responsible persons and with the privileges know how student history was in the system, which data are important for processing, etc. So we can easily get data from the students' systems. Also, we can integrate with Teams. It's add-ins to the Teams, for example, so we can create groups, and all members of the group can see and work on the same agenda. And also we have Outlook. Outlook also have some add-ins with the WEBCON, so it's very easily to through the emails we can processing and a workflow. Even we can implement something like email approval. It's very useful because we can only click OK in the email and the workflow is proceed. We have WebCon has also a possibility with integration with SharePoint and build some users groups and storage some documents on SharePoint. And also WebCon can join with Power Apps. So as I can, any system which has some API, it's possible to join WebCon.
I think it's very important functionality, this integration and the integration possibilities, because we, as I understand, Eva, we never really implement WebCon in a vacuum. It's usually at university there are already multiple systems deployed, and when we are talking about optimizing processes, streamlining them, one of the big points is eliminating the manual entry of data multiple times, multiple systems. So thanks to those integrations, those integrations eliminate that need. And for example, when we have WebCon integrated with SIS system, the data can be just basically be important to WebCon. And for example, when a student fills in some kind of request, he or she doesn't need to again enter their own data. It's filled automatically by the system thanks to the integration. So yeah, I think that those integrations are really important, and it's great that WebCon can do, especially if again sky is the limit in that department. You mentioned Power Apps. This is an interesting thing, I think, because some universities have already some processes built in Power Apps. And so how does this integration work, and how the two systems can be used in parallel, if that's a use case? So Eva, could you explain in more detail how that works?
Yes, of course. Power Apps, it's a really good starting point for very simple workflow. And but in the standard version of Power Apps, not the premium version, we cannot integrate with other external systems. External, it means not Microsoft systems. And WebCon can integrate very easily with other systems and applications. So sometimes we can start it with Power Apps, very simple form, then integrate with WEBCON or more WEBCON integrate with these Power Apps, and other more complicated workflow we can do by WEBCON. It's really useful. And I recommend WEBCON because WEBCON, even in the free version, without paying, we have access to full functionality with full possibilities of integration with external systems, etc. Even with Power Apps. But if you would like to start and understand the workflow and low coding, perhaps it's good point with Power Apps. Then we can integrate with WEBCON, and then we can develop more complicated processes in WEBCON.
It sounds great, that actually. So thank you for explaining that the kind of relation of WebCon to Power Apps and the differences. And it sounds great that universities can start with like free version, trial version, where you can actually just take it and play with it to see the possibilities of the system, like touch the system yourself and start developing already without really paying anything. So it sounds like a great starting point. We were talking about integrations, and I know there is also an other important type of integration, specific case, and that's integration with tools like Authenti. So tools that provide e-signature technology. So could you explain why is this important, and how does it work?
Yeah. We have some platform which are dedicated functionality for the electronic signature processing, and one of these platform is Authenti. It's a partner of WEBCON, and sometimes you should have this qualified signature or electronic approved signature, and then we can do using this dedicated platform, which is really easily integrated with WEBCON platform. So we put in the process, in identified point in the process, this functionality of Authenti. And for example, signing contract, it's very important act for the some processing. And the signature itself happens in the Authenti platform. We only identified the actors of the signing, for example, contract. It could be two, three, or more persons. You can put only the data of this person, and on Authenti platform, everything happens. So users is transferred automatically from WEBCON to the Authenti platform. Then they received notification that something is waiting for signature, and when they sign the contract on Authenti platform, automatically the process is going back to the WEBCON, and it's the next step it's really ready for next step for the processing, and everything with the processing of this signature is going automatically without any human actions, because we configure the flow, and the human actions is only sign the contract. So we can do it really easy.
Again, thank you, Eva, for this explanation. And again, I think that's one of the great functionalities and points of WEBCON that it can be integrated with e-signatures, because then you can make even your most formal processes truly digital. If you deploy that functionality, you can really sign the document electronically and really eliminate the paper documentation. But we do have a lot of people from abroad today, and I'm sure in their mind there is a question if we can actually integrate with national providers of e-signatures in their countries. So is that possible, Eva?
Yeah, of course. Only we have two conditions. It's the national providers which deliver this signature should deliver also the API for integration. And the second condition is that this functionality concerns only the cloud signature. So it couldn't be the card signature, which is old technology, but signature we can use in cloud system, you can say. And Authentic is also multinational signature platform provider, so I think in some countries is very popular as well.
Okay, thank you. Great to hear, I'm sure. So we've talked about what WEBCON is and some characteristics of it and some use cases. I think we can now move to implementation and talk about how the process looks like. So yeah, so how does an implementation of WEBCON looks like at the university, and are there any phases? What are them? If you could explain a bit more.
We can say WEBCON is tailored to agile methodology, but when we begin, it's better to use hybrid methodology. I think it's waterfall agile. So we divide phases, so analysis, implementations with prototyping, test, and production start. But in each phase, we develop agility. It means that the best is to start internally with reviewing the processes and identifying the most important for optimization or automatization. Once we have the description of the processes, sometimes we receive the diagrams or we draw the diagrams with our clients. And it's very important to put the priorities, which process is the most important. Then we can estimate the workload. Because the university prefer to know the budget of the project, so we should have something to have possibility to estimate the workload of digitalization of the process of these processes. And if we have description, it's really easy, but if the description is not possible, the first steps is to choose a process we can start with. And it's better that the process is quite common. We can estimate then based on our experience with other such processes and implementation. Otherwise, we better to work with times and materials. Sometimes it happens because times and materials generally used in project, which is not possible to accurately estimate the size of the project or size of the process and workload. So then we expect that project requirements would most can change, we can say easily. So we analyze the process with dedicated process owners, and we identified the actors in the process. We prototype the workflow with end users of the owners of the process. We do analysis and prototyping, and we meet once in a month or in 2 weeks, sprints or time box with members of the project group, and we estimate for then we can estimate the time for development. Regardless of the methodology, from our experience, I can say that WebCon adventure never ends, because our clients always want to put more workloads on this platform, and they discover they can simplify more process, they can automate more process. So it's never-ending story, you can say.
Thank you, Eva, for explaining that. And I think that's a very nice note on which you ended that. Again, it's a never-ending story, but not because we cannot simply finish those implementations, but it's about clients wanting more. And once they discover the possibilities of WebCon, they want to digitize more and more processes. So that's kind of how the implementation can look like. And I understand that there is a lot of flexibility. The tools is flexible itself, but also the process can be, and we can adjust it to the way the university wants to work with us. And it's also about whether they understand already, and university understands already their processes and what they want to digitize, or whether it's more kind of a trial and error. And we are ready to work with universities in kind of both ways. Maybe I think it's important to also think about what is key to a successful implementation. So what do the universities need to remember, think about before they start the project with us to make it successful?
Firstly, in my opinion, is identification and prioritize processes to automatization and optimization. Without this, it's really difficult to start, because it's for our clients, not for us. So we can only recommend something, but without this task, without identification and prioritization, it's really difficult. Secondly, readiness for changes and audit our recommendations and paperless. Next, not to not to create two numbers group key users, because each process should have a decisive process owner. As I said, when in the process of prototyping, a lot of people discover the possibilities. So we should set, okay, now we focus on this priority, this issue, and we should have of the other side somebody who is decisive in this case, and who said us, okay, so we focus on this process right now. It's better to start with singular, not very much complicated process, to get used to the WebCon and to get to know it and to be familiar with the functionality of the WebCon, because when we started with WebCon, our owner and key users very easily understand the functionality of the WebCon, but it's easier with a singular, quite common process. And finally, the confidence is very important between two groups, between us who implement and develop and analyzing the processes, and the group of the users and users, key users, and process owner. It's really, really important.
Thank you, Eva, for highlighting those important things that universities should think about before they start. I think the beauty of WebCon lies in that we can actually give back the processes to the process owners. So it's not something that is pushed top down on on the university staff to use, but it's something that they can create from scratch or based on past processes, but according to their needs, and they can tweak all the time those processes to make those small improvements that then mean better efficiency. So I think that's one of the great things that WEBCON can deliver. My last question, because we are talking for a long time right now, so I don't think we have time and space for more. I think it would be nice to hear how we as PCG can support universities in WEBCON implementation, what services we can offer to universities.
We have a lot of possibilities because we have already a portfolio of ready products which were developed because of our experience. It's really a large portfolio of students' workflows like applications, requests, certificates, request, and statement, about 50. Also, the evaluation process of university employees, as well Erasmus product. It means more for the students right now, but it is ready to customize, and also office, university office workflow, and e-dossier of the students. So we have quite large portfolio right now of workflow and processes. And we also have 4 service packages: standard, standard plus, premium, and open. So it's our offer. It's concerned not only the standard services packages, but also our clients can buy hours for develop new processes or for audited the processes which they have or which the university would like to digitalize. So it's quite large offer, I think, but we're still working on the improve this offer. So I think in some amounts we can offer more. Like,
it sounds great, and it sounds like we can be pretty flexible in the way we with the way we work with universities. If the university wants to lead the implementation and have us as legal helpers, that's possible. But we can also drive the process to the analysis and really walk hand in hand with university staff that is in the project team of implementing WEBCON. And we can start with ready-made workflows that we've already developed, and then together with the university, tweak it to the university's specific needs. Or we can start from zero and together with the universities describe the processes, really analyze the processes and design the future state and do that with WEBCON from start essentially and play with it from the start. So I think that concludes our conversation for today. I think we could talk for hours and about that, but we want to be mindful of your time, and I'm afraid we are already about to let this webinar run for a little longer, because now I would like to ask Anya from our company to show you how WEBCON actually looks like. And I think she'll take more than 7 minutes that I see we have left, but I hope it will be worth of your time to stay a bit longer with us. Now is the time, because we can talk about systems for hours, but I think it's important to actually see them in action and see how they look from the actual everyday user perspective. So I'll now invite Anya to show you WEBCON. So thank you, Eva, for our conversation, and I give the floor to Anya now.
Hello, my name is Anna Warda-Rycen. Today, I will present selected PCG Academia products based on the WEBCON BPS platform. WEBCON is a complete platform for digitizing business processes. It can be used for managing processes related to education and administration. System is web-based, so to log in it is enough to have access to the internet. Of course, access is authorized. For the purpose of this presentation, I will log in as an administrator, so I can show you different functionalities. While implemented at your university, we can configure which users have permissions to initiate new elements, modify them, and so on. So we are already in the system. This is a standard user view and can be treated like the user's virtual desk. On my dashboard, I can see my tasks, favorite and frequently used applications, and all available applications that I have access to. New tasks are assigned to me, but I have not yet taken care of them. Active tasks are assigned to me and some actions have already been performed by me. And overdue tasks are tasks with past deadline. Here we can see one example of how WEBCON help you to stay organized. Favorites are the apps I added myself to the list because I know I will use them often. I can add an application to my favorites by clicking on the star. For example, I decide to add eFolder to my favorites, and I add by adding the star and clicking choosing the name for the folder. So I can see on my dashboard that eFolder is already in my favorites, and frequently used applications are suggested by the system based on the analysis of my use patterns. Here we can see the name of the application, number of tasks in the context of the application, and in addition, from this place, I can quickly start a new item in the application without having to open the application page. So for Erasmus, it would be, for example, Dictionary of Universities, Templates, or Students. So let me now show you some workflows we have created in WEBCON BPS. One of the examples of the workflows is Erasmus without paper. You can manage all the students' documentation like learning agreements, contracts, and so on in one place. And I will show you how this works. This is the application dashboard. On the right side, I see a report in a graphical form that shows the number of students' applications for the program. And these are the workflows that make these numbers. I can see them when I click on the graph. I can also go here to the individual element directly. So now I can take care of my active tasks in Erasmus, or I can create a new task and show you the whole workflow by clicking on the Start button. This is the application for entry to the Erasmus program. Before I start filling the form, I would like to say a few words about workflow structure. Each workflow looks similar. At the top, we have the name of the workflow and task details, and then we have the form itself. On the right side, documents attached and filled for the comments. And on the very right side, there is a clear overview of where we are in the process. And the user can always check on which stage of the process he is by clicking on the step. I see the diagram of the process. Now I can fill in the data of the student. When I choose the student's name, the rest of the data will be filled automatically. This data can be coming straight from a student information system thanks to the integration. So now I'm filling the form. What is very useful, some fields have so-called tooltip, which gives additional information about the field. So when I don't know what exactly should be in certain field, this information gives me additional hints of how it should be filled. I'm filling, of course, the obligatory fields here, so the languages, and here below I have substantive justification of trip field, which is similar to MS Word. I can use different fonts here, formatted and so on. Oh, and here you can see another useful functionality of WEBCON. I forgot to fill the checkbox, and WEBCON warned me about it. Of course, this demo scenario, I'm initiating this workflow as an administrative employee, and therefore I need to fill in the student's data. But in real life, when student is filling himself the form, a lot of his data will be already in the system. We are already in the next step, this verification. Like I said, I have, for the purpose of the presentation, all the roles, so I will be now the dean. But in real life, different steps are done by different roles. Next step will be the verification by the lector's office. As a lector, I give my opinion about the student and confirm the student's knowledge of the languages. So here I give my opinion. And here under I need to confirm if his English knowledge is indeed on B2, maybe it's B1, sorry, maybe it's A2. And I approve. So a following step is verification by faculty coordinator. On the right side, I can clearly see which steps are behind me and which steps are ahead of me. I can also view it on the process diagram here. So as a faculty coordinator, I make a decision if I accept this application. This will be a positive scenario, so of course I accept. And here I can go further to approve. So at this step, application for entering the Erasmus program was automatically generated. When I open it, I can see it is already filled with data that I have entered. At the same time, as a result of approving the application, another workflow was automatically launched. Since a student applied here for Erasmus program and he was accepted, the learning agreement needs to be created. So now I proceed to the Generate Learning Agreement step on the right side. Students' data is filled automatically, university's data as well. I choose only fill in the fields which are not filled automatically here. And here I need to choose the duration of the stay of the student. So I can choose these dates from the calendar, the start date and the end date as well. And here below in the table, I can choose the subjects which will appear on the learning agreement. So the number of ECTS is summarized here by the system. So I can just fill the name of really the number of the course, and the rest is filled. And here I can write the title of the email that will be sent to a student and also the content of the email. Okay, and here I can choose how this contract will be signed. Yeah, in this case, I will choose 400 and signature, but it is also possible to sign documents in the WEBCON portal electronically. So here I choose 400 and I go further. I sign the agreement, and the main workflow moved already to the next step, waiting for signature. Here I can write my signature with a mouse, pen, or in the mobile app. And then I can already see the document with my handwritten signature on it. So here you can see the signature that I just wrote. Our platform is also integrated with electronic signature platform Authenti. But it can also be integrated with other electronic or qualified signature platforms. The second process that I would like to present today is the office. It is an administrative universal workflow. It can work great both at the university and in any other organization, because pretty much everywhere there is a need to manage incoming, outgoing mail. And by mail, I mean physical mail as well as email. So here I will show you a new task is created because we configured email address in a way that it will create a new task in WEBCON BPS. This is also very useful functionality. We already did that, and because I received the email from a dedicated email address, here we can see the new task was created for me. And now let's go to outgoing mail. I start the workflow by choosing the outgoing mail tile. I can select the delivery provider. Here, the responsible person is the person who ordered their shipment, so it can be me. I will find myself here. Yeah, okay, yes, so here I am. Okay, and Further, I can fill here the contractor. Also useful functionality, if we don't have yet this contractor in the database, we can just type a tax number and search for him in an external database. The company is then automatically added in our database, so next time I don't have to search for it. Another time-saving feature from WEBCON. So I go further to the next step, and this workflow is finished. While showcasing the Office application, I will also present the method of creating document templates that are connected in individual steps. This is a very useful functionality because templates can be easily created just with MS Word and a WEBCON BPS add-on. So we have received a new version of a document template and we want to implement it in the workflow. Here I can see the list of templates that occur in Office processes. And I have to switch now to admin mode to be able to modify it. Now, yes, I'm in the Word actually, and here with this WEBCON BPS add-on I was just mentioning, I can very easily modify the template by dragging and dropping method. So by dragging the fields to specific places in the template, as you can see. So I make these changes. I choose a certain field and drag and drop it to the template. I save it. And here you can already see that my changes were saved to the template. I have just presented some examples of workflows that can be built in WEBCON. But it is worth to remember that workflows are not static. They often have to be changed to match changing needs or add efficiency to the processes. So now I would like to show you how easily it is to modify workflows in WEBCON. Now I will move on to presenting the last of the prepared workflows, application for financial matters. If I would be a student, my data would be filled already, but as Dean's Office, I can choose a student and all his data from Student Information System, so they are filled automatically. Here I can write what kind of help the student needs. And during testing of this workflow, we noticed that the name of this field could be confusing. So I will show you now how it's possible to easily change it. I go to the name of the field, and I would like to change the name from the request for financial help to reason of financial help. So now I'm changing the name of the field. And I also changed the description of the field. I decided to add an example of the reason, so it will be easier to fill. And after adding the example, I can click on OK and save and publish my changes. Everything is being now updated, and I can go back to the form and see that my changes are already visible in the interface. I have here the new field name and the new description. So I'm filling further the form, the method of receiving the document, academic year. Yeah, and here I also noticed that actually this field is also confusing. So it might be not clear in which way exactly the data should be entered. So I'm going to change this field form. Instead of a single line of text, I will choose choice field, which allows me to choose from the list. So here the user will be able to choose from the list, which I of course defined earlier. But it's actually very easy to add also a new item to the list. So I will also do that. And add a new item to my list. So I'm adding the data. And if everything is how I want it to be, I can again save and publish my changes again. Yes, and this is already also updated. I can go back to form and fill it further. I will choose the new option from the list. Instead of typing it myself, I choose the data from the calendar. And I'm moving to the next step, verification of the application by the Dean's office. You can see that here on the right side. And the next step is sending the request, but let's say we notice that in this case it would be better to add an alternative path. So I go now and add a new available path. In the workflows, I go to Workflow Designer, and just by drawing a line, I'm creating a new path with possibility to go back to the previous step of the process. Yes, so here is the process diagram, and just by drawing the line, I'm adding a new path. Here, a little comment: as our environment is programmed initially in Polish, I need to first always program new option, and this is kind of a new path, new option. So I will have to type it in Polish, and then give English translation. But of course, if we have an environment in English, then all workflows are already built in English, and the translation is not needed. So adding this step allows to give some additional information or correction of the field data. Very often in these cases, while going back to the previous step, some comment should be added. So the user who's doing this step knows the reason of decision of sending the form for correction. Here I also changed the color of the button to red, so it will be more visible. And after publishing, I already see the changes. This was a very short presentation of how we can modify the workflow. So now that I have shown you examples of workflows that can be built in WEBCON, let me show you a couple of functionalities that can make your day-to-day work on the platform easier and faster. WEBCON helps saving time on every task, which might be little time with just one task, but when you have hundreds or thousands of tasks, the time saving is significant. In the top panel, accessible from every item in the portal, is the search engine. It allows to quickly find, for example, a specific student's file. The search mechanism is quite unique. It is based on Solr engine and allows to search for content in less than a few dozen milliseconds, even in the case of a very large data set. By entering the name, it can be the student's name. System displays all elements in which the name appears, for example, processes in which exists. It's all interactive. By clicking an individual link, I can view the content of the workflow. There's also available application search engine. So it is enough to enter part of the name of the application and all the applications matching this phrase will appear. The search is also available from the navigation panel on the left side of the portal. By clicking on the item in the list of results, I can immediately go to the, for example, report, as you can see. And here, another thing worth mentioning is that interface of WEBCON is available in many languages. It is possible to change the language of the interface to German, French, and others, which we want here. And it is also possible to change the color theme by selecting one of these, for example, which is suitable for people with visual impairments. Switching back now to the light mode. And the last general functionality that I want to show you is substitutions. When one of the employees is absent, for example, on holidays, it is possible to assign another person to be his substitution. It can be done globally for all processes or even for the selected process or task. So those were the workflows that we built in WEBCON that I wanted to show you today. I hope you found them interesting. If so, please contact us and we will show you how WEBCON can optimize processes at your university. Goodbye.
Thank you, Anya, for just, I hope, interesting, also to our audience, presentation of WEBCON possibilities. Please do remember that those are just example of processes, and as we mentioned today, sky is really the limit, and many more can be done with WEBCON. We just wanted to give you kind of a feel of what WEBCON is capable of and how it looks like when you actually work on the platform. I do realize we are way over time, and I do see some questions. So maybe let me choose one, which I think is important. Anya mentioned something already about languages, but here we have a question. What languages is WEBCON available in, and can you add new languages to WEBCON? So Eva, can you expand on what Anya said about that?
Yeah, of course. The WEBCON portal interface by standard is available by default in 7 languages. It's Polish, of course, because it's Polish company, English, French, Spanish, German, Russian, and Italian. The studio, Designer Studio, used for designing workflows and processes, is available in 3 languages with the documentations. It's German, English, and Polish, of course. However, there exists an application, dedicated application for translating the portal interface in other languages. And we have also special tool for translation each processes. For example, we in Poland, when we have students in other countries, the universities decide to translate the processes for each student. But the first, it's better to prepare the processes is on own languages, for example, in Poland, in Polish, of course, and then we translate it in English. I know from our partner stage, WEBCON partner stage, that they also exist WEBCON interface, WEBCON portal interface translate in Chinese, for example. So sky is a level also in this case.
Okay, thank you, Eva, for response. I'm afraid we don't want to keep you much longer, so we don't have time for any more questions. But please do, if you do have more questions, please do send them to us, and we'll definitely respond to those questions. For closing up, instead of maybe reiterating what we've already said, I wanted to highlight a story that stuck with me. It's something that Vice President of WEBCON said during our conference, that he gets a lot of positive feedback from clients, and one of those feedback points was that since implementation of WEBCON in his 3 people team, for the first time, 2 of the people in the team can go on holidays in the same time, and it's enough, and the other person that's left can easily manage the processes in their absence. And that's really for the first time that they were able to do that. And I think it's a nice really story of how WEBCON can organize your processes, can give structure to them, can increase efficiency, and also give you back your time. First, definitely you have to spend some time on deploying WEBCON and building those processes in WEBCON, but then it becomes to be a time-saving system for you. And I think that's one of the great things about WEBCON, that it can give you your time back, and well, that's one of the few resources that you cannot really buy with money. So seeing WEBCON as such a tool, I think it's important. So I do hope that you found our webinar interesting, both the conversation that I had with Eva about universities' experiences, and also the part where Anya has shown the possibilities of WEBCON. If you do find what we said interesting, and if you do think that deploying WEBCON at your university would bring you those benefits that we highlighted, please do not hesitate to contact us. We will be happy to do a dedicated demo for you, talk about your needs, specific use cases, and discuss how we could work together to increase the efficiency at our organization. So with those words, I would like to close today's webinar. Thank you again for being here with us, and we hope that it's not the first time when we see each other, and we hope to continue the conversation with you. Thank you so much. Have a nice rest of the day and a nice weekend, because, well, it's Friday. Thank you.